good evening and welcome once again. Sorry about the last or the late start. I don't know. I'm not very IT friendly. I think I need someone to help me in this. Are you good at this? Let me make all the formal introductions. You're welcome to the Monday Review Show, and this is where we discuss all things referees and refereeing. If you'd like to ask a question or you'd like to make a comment on any of last week's or any other games that have taken place recently, you're more than welcome to do so. Right at the bottom right-hand side of your screen is a little area where you can make those comments or ask questions, and we'll do our best to help you. Again, apologies for the late start, all on my side. I was trying to get through a few gremlins that had crept into the system. And as I mentioned, when you're not very IT educated, as I am definitely not, it took a little bit longer. But anyway, I'm delighted to be joined again. And sincere apologies to not only you out there, but to my guest, regular guest, former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former head of the PGMOL, and the man responsible for introducing goal line technology, Keith Hackett. My sincere apologies, Keith.
I've been problem. I'm ready to go.
Past 7. I thought never going to get it going. But anyway, thankfully, we're live, and thank you for joining us, Keith. Let's start with the big game on Sunday with Liverpool and, or rather the other way around, Manchester City and Liverpool. Few incidents from that game. Certainly number one was the disallowed Liverpool goal. Now, as you and I well know, and maybe people out there don't know, it is not an offence to be in an offside position. You've got to be let me give it old money, had to be interfering with play, interfering with an opponent, or seeking to gain an advantage by being in that position. Now, many people have contacted me and said, yes, Andy Robertson was in an offside position, but was he interfering with play? Because he did actually bend down, which gave the goalkeeper sufficient time to see the ball coming at him. Or did he? What's your opinion?
I generally thought that this was a good goal that shouldn't have been ruled out. There's no question. There's no question that Robertson was in an offside position. But when we look at interfering with an opponent, we have to look at the goalkeeper on this occasion, the sight line of the ball, and the goalkeeper was very clear. There was a pathway through. He could see the ball. Yeah. And there's no question that the player ducked down, but there was no movement that would impact on the goalkeeper, in my opinion. Therefore, I wouldn't have expected that goal to be ruled out. And there are, if you like, examples in the past where the PGMOL have allowed goals of this nature to stand correctly. We had one, I think, a year ago where the player actually jumped over the ball, and they decided that had not interfered with the goalkeeper. So for me, I think that, yes, offside decisions are subjective. I go with the principle. I don't want to rule goals out, and neither do I want to find an excuse to rule a goal out. And therefore, for me, I don't think that the interference allegedly by this player was sufficient to rule the goal out. And so I think the match officials got it wrong.
Yeah, so just to repeat again about the offside, which is Law 11, the three criteria to be blown up for offside are interfering with play, interfering with an opponent, or seeking to gain an advantage by being in that position. So now Robertson, and I've had so much mail on this, and I'm sure you have as well, he wasn't interfering with an opponent, except you say he was interfering with the goalkeeper. He wasn't interfering with play. because he didn't deflect or
No.
the direction of the ball. And he certainly wasn't seeking to gain an advantage in that he didn't take a swipe at the ball or have a go to play at the ball. He did neither of the three. So although he was, as we've rightly pointed out, and you've explained very well, he was in an offside position. But as you also say, it's happened so many times where players are in an offside position, but not infringing any of the three criteria that are required.
I think the important one for me is that preventing an opponent from playing or being able to play the ball by clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision. And it's that where this player did not interfere, obstruct the line of vision of the goalkeeper. I think there was a stronger argument that they didn't put forward, and that was Doku was probably in a position that may well have met the criteria. But of course, they centered on Robertson, and look, they got it wrong. I think that trying to defend it as the usual sort of scenario is a wrong approach. I think they've just got to recognise that the game's moved on. In our day, we would have pulled this player offside because the law would have supported us. But the clever dicks, if you like, at the IFAB that make these laws, that have played around with them forever, they have moved the offside law and its interpretation to stop the law ejecting a lot or rejecting a lot of goals. I think in fairness to them, movements that they have made have resulted in goals like this being allowed, and this one should have been allowed. And yet the decisions are subjective, but if you're out there refereeing, this ought to be a goal that you give every time.
My very good friend from living down in Kinsale in County Cork, Declan King, who's a big Man City fan, so he would have his blue hat on and blue tinted glasses, I guess. He said it was right, and he's such a wonderful man. He's great banter and great, he doesn't take things too seriously. But he was saying, and I had a couple of phone calls with him since the match, and he was saying, Robertson was in an offside position, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, but you have to meet the three criteria. Oh, yeah, you're a typical referee and making all these excuses. He's a super, super guy. So I love it. You, as I believe it, the goal should have stood.
Yeah. For
Not
sure.
That it would have made any difference in the end. I thought Liverpool were absolutely awful on the day. There was men against boys, and Doku really gave that young lad on the right full back who had Vinicius in his pocket last Wednesday, but Doku really gave him the runaround. The other one was the penalty awarded to City. Actually, Doku, again, he was at the heart of all of this as well. A lot of controversy about that. The angles that they showed weren't great, but it did seem to show that the Mamardashvili, the Liverpool goalkeeper, did seem to catch Doku's foot. And Doku didn't go down, kept going, but the referee awarded the penalty. Does that come to your mind? Would you give a penalty?
Yes, it does. I think that that was the correct call. I think this weekend we it's been steeped in controversy again. I think if we highlight the Newcastle game, where in that particular game, Newcastle United's Dan Burn was guilty of a trip inside the penalty area.
Yeah, that was my next item on the agenda.
That was a very, very clear penalty kick not awarded. And shortly afterwards, we had this attacking player with Byrne on a yellow card running alongside him. And for me, the player going too easily to ground, I wasn't, given the old scenario of the PGMOL and its interpretation of holding, pulling, wrestling, and allowing things to just go, I thought this one was that I thought Byrne didn't foul him on this occasion. But
Is this the first one or the second one for Byrne, because he was involved?
I think the first one I didn't think was a penalty. Then we had a second one, which was a trip, which I thought was a penalty. Then we had the third one, where again I don't think that was a penalty kick, and neither did I think the player had offended. Again, it's easy with the hindsight of replay, because players do go to ground, and let's make it quite clear to you referees out there, it's easier sat in a seat like I do, watching television and punching the replay button and having a look and having another look. I thought the dismissal for a second yellow card, Dan Byrne of Newcastle United, was incorrect. And of course, there's no route for appeal. And therefore, I don't think in either game that we've mentioned today, the referees had their best performances.
That was Stuart Atwell now in the Newcastle game.
Yes.
I see a comment coming in here, and if I can pick it up here, it's from it's just come through on my phone, but I'll read it out. He says, where are you now, Stuart?
Yeah.
No, I can't find it just now. If you're listening, Stuart, and I know you are because you made a comment, maybe just put a comment on the screen there so we can read it out. Stuart Atwell, I don't know. We've spoken about this week in and week out, haven't we? That the standard of refereeing is just. Maybe we'll come to that at the end. Let's go on to the Villa Bournemouth. John Brooks was the referee here. A penalty to Bournemouth with the hand. Now, many people are asking, and again, I get, like you, I'm sure I get lots of comments and questions about this. How far should the hand be out for it to be not in a natural position? The hand was out there. Of course, that's not on the side, I know.
I think that if I could be descriptive or prescriptive about it, the reality is the ball gets hit back over the net from me as a referee to you as a referee in terms of handball, because it's so subjective.
Yeah.
Now, I'm supporting the referee on this decision, and the reason I supported him was that I think the hand was projected out, but what sold it for me was the movement of the hand towards the ball, almost in a slapping type arrangement.
And Keith, isn't that the old principle? The move, before they start changing all these things, it was very simple. It used to say the movement of the hand or arm towards the ball, not the ball towards the hand.
Yes.
Why did they deviate from that principle? I mean, goodness gracious.
And that's why I support John Brooks. I thought that, he was in quite a good position to detect it. It was a slap, I thought, at the ball. It was careless on the player's point of view. I think that he didn't make much attempt to move his hand away. It was more towards the ball. So for me, I think they got that one right. And I'll support the referee on that one.
Yeah, John Brooks.
Yeah.
But just while we're on the hand thing, and it's not on the agenda, if you like, so many guys now going up using their arms. And now I've heard many players saying, oh, they need that to get elevation. But do they have to slap away like that? And having said that, Keith, how would you like to be an officer leading all these guys into battle if they get a tip in the face and they go down? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't like to be an officer leading those guys into battle, I'll tell you now.
Yeah. I think there's no doubt in my mind that when we watch games week in, week out, I think we have to understand what's in front of the referee and the difficulties that they have to manage effectively the laws of the game, apply them, and detect offences. And there's no question that players are good at going to ground or trying to disguise a handball. In terms of gaining elevation, there is no question that the arms go out, right? But here's a tip. Once the elbow goes above the shoulder of the player who's gaining elevation, it's no longer being used for elevation. It's being used for other things of self-protection or damage to an opponent. And I think that this is where, you know, it's a little bit like, you know, there's a colleague of mine, Simon Hall, who referees grassroots level. Simon's very adamant about pushing. He uses a bent elbow and an elbow straightening out, and that is a pushing effect. And I think here we see the elevation of players. But if we actually look and if you can give some guidance to referees, there is no question that at the dropping zone, when the ball is arriving, the alert levels of the referee have to be heightened. So let us just look at that ball that's coming into the dropping zone. Let's just take the simple thing of a 9 and 5 in that situation. The first thing is, as a referee, don't look at the ball, because that never commits an offence. And that's what a lot of young referees do. They're looking at the ball and missing what's going off below. And below, there's that subtle push that you can miss by the defender. You can miss the knee by the defender into the back of an opponent, disguised. And you can also see an outstretched arm over the shoulder of a player, his opponent, and just simply a knockdown movement, not a holding on, but just a knockdown movement, and that actually puts the forward off that's trying to go for the ball. And as far as the forward's concerned, look at the illegal use of the elbow, that clatter into the chest of his opponent, and also the holding and spinning off. So there you are, a scenario of, if you like, challenges for the referee when the ball is entering the dropping zone, either from a free kick, from a long ball from the goalkeeper, or from a corner kick.
Right, now, in the Palace-Brighton game, Tim Robertson, I thought there was a penalty. I think he awarded a penalty, and then he changed his mind, and he gave a yellow card for simulation.
Yeah.
So in this instance, it's good where VAR does come in,
yes,
and at least he changed his mind. Where
yes,
a lot of people I hear, non-referees, supporters, that say, "Oh, he's going to VAR. That's it. He's going to give whatever VAR recommended." But he noticed, or he picked it up himself when he went to the screen.
Yes.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, of course, for people watching and listening, the referee has the final say. I'm paraphrasing when I say Law 5 states that, in the opinion of the referee, So that's where what Keith mentions, it is subjective. It's the opinion of the referee and his decision only. And regardless of what help or assistance he may get from VAR or from the fourth official or from his assistants on the line, he makes the final decision. And in this instance, he changed his mind on the penalty and he gave a yellow card for simulation. And that's what should be happening, really, Keith, isn't it? If he gives it, it's either a penalty kick or it's a yellow card for diving.
Yeah, and I thought this was I thought this was a good piece of officiating, probably the best piece of officiating I've seen from Tim Robinson, and the VAR. The VAR for coming in, because clearly he's gone, that's an act of simulation. It didn't take long for the referee to see that and rightfully caution the player. I thought that was a good piece of officiating. Yeah. Good piece of teamwork between referee and VAR.
And he came in as a sub was it last week he came in as a sub? Somebody went off injured, I can't remember who it was. And Tim Robinson came in and did very, very well in the second half. And he's obviously and rightly been rewarded by hard work, been given a start, as it were, for this week. Sunderland Arsenal. Craig Pawson. Now, people again asking where's the line between head down and foot up? And we were always told that it was around the middle, around the waistline. Foot shouldn't go higher than the waistline, and the head shouldn't come down. And in this instance, it was a second goal which was awarded. The foot appeared to me to be higher than the waistline, but there's no. How do you decide what's dangerous play? Because foot up is dangerous play, but then so also is putting your head down.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a really good learning point for match officials. I felt that when I looked at the replay, I was sort of saying, keep out of it, allow the goal, and I think on this occasion, I know that there doesn't have to be contact, but I was actually looking for contact. Had there been contact, boot anywhere near the head, then I would have ruled that goal out. But I could see no contact. No. I thought the player did go down, and I didn't really think that the player making the shot on goal raised his feet higher than norm. I thought, right, this is in a playing environment. I looked at it and I went, that's a goal. And I was pleased that the match officials didn't rule it out. But again, this is where, it's down to you as the referee. And the one thing I thought in this particular instance, looking at the referee, was how well he sold the decision. He was just neutral. He didn't. Yeah. There was no hesitation, which you'd sometimes get with Craig Pawson. But he walks around too much. He saunters too much for me. I like a referee that's on the move and mobile, and looking as though I'm enjoying the game. And Craig has this low key approach, walking often into situations, and it works for him, but it's not my style of referee.
No, it's not one that I would promote. I'd always be up and down, corner flag to corner flag on the diagonal. Yeah. My God, what is this whole thing? And it's perhaps, it does affect refereeing and referees because they have to take action. What is this thing about players wanting to take off their shirt after they've scored? What? It is a refereeing issue because they have to be cautioned for taking off their shirt. But this thing that they say, you just have to take off their shirt. I'd love to know what the motivation is for it. Is it just to show off their six packs, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, the old argument of goal celebration and taking off the shirt was brought in almost on grounds of religion and politics. I mean, the international board were concerned, first of all, that a torso is shown, because in certain countries that is not acceptable. And then, of course, we had the undergarment being exposed with either a political statement or some other statement. And FIFA acted, the IFAB acted. As a consequence, the referees left with being seen to be, in the eyes of fans, a spoiler, but he's got to apply the law. The law is very clear. He can't not apply it. He can't ignore the fact that a shirt has been taken off, and therefore it's a yellow card. I just think that the management of clubs should be taking action and fining their own player for removing his shirt.
I'm just going to be silly now. Why don't they take off their boot? Both boots. Why the shirt? But I wonder, I was thinking maybe another issue could be the shirt sponsor, whose logo or name would be on the front. Now, when a guy scores, all cameras are going to be on him. And that's when sponsors would get maximum exposure. And by taking off the shirt, is it then political that they're saying, they should be cautioned because we're not getting our full tuppence worth?
Well, I think that's down to the club and the player, because certainly if I was the sponsor, I would be asking the question.
I would be very unhappy.
It's a little bit like sometimes we see, certainly at grassroots level, I notice often that you'll get ball boys, volunteers, sitting in front of the board where someone's paid a couple of £100 to have their company logo on the perimeter fencing. And if you're a company that do that, thank you very much, because it plays a major part in grassroots football. And there somebody plonks himself in front of the hoardings, and I can remember on the centre of the pitch that I used to be the president. I've resigned in recent weeks, but we're Penistone FC, and on one occasion, a colleague of mine had joined me at the match, and we sat there, and he was bursting out with laughter. And I said, I don't know why are you smiling? And he said, look at the position of the ball boys opposite. And there was the word penis, because they were covering the remainder of the club's logo. And when I saw it, I thought that was that was just a thing that was on the day allowed us a smile.
Yeah. Just two more items. Everton and Fulham, Andy Madley, 3 disallowed goals, all legitimate. But I can't remember a game where 3 goals were disallowed, except my game in South Africa that I told you about a few weeks ago, where I was nearly killed for disallowing 3 goals on Orlando Pirates. But 3 goals disallowed in the one game, Everton and Fulham. Andy Madley, all legitimate.
Yes. Yeah, I mean... You referee what's in front of you, and you have to be consistent. Again, I think if I was coaching Andy Madley, I'd be saying to him, "You're a fit and mobile referee. Can you demonstrate a bit more mobility around the field of play?" I just think at times it's a bit too relaxed, too informal, and I'll get there in the end, sort of thing. When I just want to see referees be proactive, to be motivated, and to be seen to be putting in that physical effort.
Just one last thing, and not a comment really, but Chelsea and Wolves, a new referee. I haven't seen him before. Maybe you know about it. Andrew Kitching.
Yes. Well, I've been extolling the virtues of this referee for about a season now. I watched him at Hillsborough some months ago at Sheffield Wednesday, and he put in an impressive performance. He's got great maturity, and I thought it was really good that Howard Webb gave him a run out. It's not easy, is it? That step up, you know, we've been there. We know that the nerves jangle a bit, and you want the game to go ahead without much controversy.
Yeah.
And you've got to work hard at it. And I think, you know, he got through it. I think the important bit now is that he gets a run of games.
Yeah.
You know, and I think often it can be the other way. He gets a game in the Premier League and then he doesn't receive another one for several months.
Yeah.
And it's almost debilitating.
Yeah, indeed.
You suddenly start to think negatively.
Yeah.
Did I referee poorly in this particular game? I think that the one thing that I've mentioned before, I think I worry about the Premier League and the Football League not running with match assessors and just saying they're coaches. It's too friendly. I want to see an assessor who can actually put an opinion across on that individual referee's performance with great impartiality, rather than a coach that has, excuse me, a different working relationship with his referee.
Once again, Keith, the time has just flown past. Thank you very much for your patience and waiting for till I sorted out the gremlins at the beginning of the show. And thank you out there for sticking by and hanging in there despite the late start. We'll do it all again next Monday, same time, same place, 8 p.m. London, Irish time. And we'll also be joined again by Keith Hackett. Keith, thank you very much once again. And to all of you and yourself, Keith, good night and God bless you.
Good night. Thank you.